All right, come on in, everybody. Welcome back to the Holler. It's been a little while since I've done this. Been pretty busy at the Capitol, as I'm sure some of you have seen. Been trying to cover as much of this nonsense as we can. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know where you guys are. Just want to go over a couple of things today and clear some stuff up and just kind of run down what we've been seeing at the Capitol lately. Just making sure you guys are out there. You can hear me. Let me know. And before we get going here, I'm just going to let people find it. Sound is good. All right. Appreciate that. Hope everybody is hanging in there. I know it's wild these days, both at the national level, but also especially here in our state. So hope you guys are hanging in there, being all right. We are, as always, sponsored by Abby Rubenfeld. Or, she chips in. If you need a lawyer, go to her. Lisa Parker, if you're buying or selling a home in Middle Tennessee. And Bongo Java, if you need some coffee. I just want to shout out to them. And if you are looking for one of these sweet Holler hats, go to our website and grab a hat. That's a great way to support us. All right. We sent out our email today. If you're not subscribed yet, tnholler.com is where you can go to get our weekly emails. And today it was mostly about the committee this week at the Capitol where people showed up for kids, for the undocumented kids that Republicans are trying to ban from our schools. And they shut down committee, basically reciting the Pledge of Allegiance over and over again. It was a powerful scene there. And in case you guys missed it, this was, I forget what the committee was, but it was a banking, and I'm sure which committee it was, but the undocumented kids bill is going to be up again this week. And I think they're playing games with the schedule. There are two full ed committee hearings scheduled, one on Tuesday, one on Wednesday. And on the Wednesday one, the only bill they have scheduled is the undocumented kids bill. The Tuesday one has most of the House full education committee schedule. So I would not put it past Cameron Sexton to schedule a bill on Wednesday so that people plan to show up on Wednesday and then, oh, well, we got through our schedule on Tuesday and now we heard it on Tuesday. So they could surprise spring that bill on Tuesday, even though they have it scheduled for Wednesday. And then when people plan to show up on Wednesday, they'll be too late. I would not put that past these guys. So right now on the calendar on Wednesday, that bill is set for Wednesday full ed committee, but ed committee has a meeting on Tuesday. So I would encourage anybody who's planning to be there for that bill to plan to be there on both days. And that's something to be aware of. The protest was really powerful. There were kids there. There were adults there. There were veterans there. And they stood and recited the Pledge of Allegiance over and over again until essentially they had to gavel out of committee, and they ended up going to another committee room and locking people out. And here's some of that. To the republic, which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible. So they kept reciting this over and over again to the point where they ended up gaveling out and going to another room and locking the people out. And so the people stood in the hallway and chanted, "Kids learn! Let kids 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 learn!" So it was a powerful scene. And next week, I would imagine there will be even more people there showing up for the committee meeting. And again, I just want to put everybody on notice that it seems like they might be playing games with the calendar. So if you're planning on being there for this bill, plan on being there on Tuesday and Wednesday, because I could absolutely see them scheduling it for Wednesday and then magically getting to it on Tuesday to try to avoid the protesters. Again, if you're out there, let me know. How nice. Yeah, the protest was really nice. That was certainly one powerful thing that happened this week. Another thing that happened this week that I'm sure some of you saw is that we saw Marsha Blackburn at the VA. She scheduled a publicity stop at the VA with the secretary. I forget his name, David Simon, I think. And I wasn't invited, so I got there late. And I'm sure what they talked about at the VA was not how they're cutting 80,000 jobs and resources for veterans, but someone needed to ask her about it. So this was me chasing Marsha this week.
Talk about why the VA is firing, why you guys are firing thousands of VA workers, Marsha, and cutting the VA budget. I wasn't here for the press where you guys didn't give me the invite, but I'm just wondering, did you guys touch on why Trump is cutting tens of thousands of VA workers?
So that was a good time. I followed her out of the VA. She did not talk to me. She never does. She also hasn't had a town hall in 8 years, as most of you know. And feels like somebody, sorry, hang on one second. That's foreshadowing right there. But it feels like somebody needed to ask her those questions. And in the Times Free Press this week, Clint Cooper, who I guess is their editorial page guy, he basically wrote that we were bullying her or something like that. And, that's not the way to do it. But, the truth is, she never shows up at town hall. So I wish that Clint Cooper was as upset about Marsha hiding as he appears to be about, us pursuing her through the halls and out to the car. And, you see the headline there, bullying elected representatives to get to Trump hasn't proved the soundest strategy. Well, my message to Clint Cooper is that there is one bully in this equation, and it's Marsha. She is the bully. She's not the one being bullied. And I think anybody who's paying even a little bit of attention can understand that. I appreciate you guys. Mark, good to see you. Wait, is that Mark? Is that my friend Mark? I can't tell if that's Mark. Were you the one wearing the hat this week? I can't tell from that picture. Fight, fight, fight. Chelsea says, Veronica says exactly. All right. But there is one thing that I really did want to come on here and talk about today because I want to clear something up. And, as you may have seen this week, I was asking Johnny Shaw about his vote to raise interest rates on poor folks. And he lashed out at me and basically threatened me. And I was going to not really say anything about it, but I've just now seen this TikTok video by our friend David, who called Johnny Shaw's office. And apparently they are saying that I deceptively edited the video. So I want to show David's video to show you why I'm talking about this. And then I want to show you the full video and give you some context. So here is David on TikTok, basically calling Johnny Shaw's office. And I want you to hear what they said.
Tennessee Representative Johnny Shaw physically threatened Justin Kanew of the Tennessee Holler yesterday. Now go to the Tennessee Hollers page to check that video out. It's pretty wild. Justin Kanew was asking him why he supported a bill, and I'll read it here. It's HB 775 SB 694, which allows for any loan of $100 or more made to a person, they can go up to 36% interest on that loan, which is absolutely insane. Loan companies are predatory. This affects poor people. And Justin Kanew asked him that. And then he was threatened with physical violence.
Because you're going to get floored, buddy. Oh, yeah? That's a threat. That's a threat. It is a threat.
Oh. So I called Johnny Shaw's office this morning. The intern that works there spoke to me about it. This is the video. Contact him if you want. Tell him it's unacceptable to threaten people with violence, especially as a representative of Tennessee.
I help you.
I saw a video yesterday of Representative Shaw threatening a reporter on camera. Has he made a statement about that, or is that something that he condones?
I think part of the video was edited and it was not depicting the full interaction. However, I don't think he has made a full statement yet, but when he does,
it couldn't have been edited in any way where he threatens someone asking him a question.
There is more to the story.
I don't know the representative. I'm assuming he's a Christian.
He is.
Okay, so Okay, so he's a pastor? Wow. So the Bible I read, and probably the same one he read, I don't find any verses where Jesus ever threatened anyone.
All right, so that's David. Appreciate him calling. Appreciate him looking out. And as you heard there, they said that there was more to it and that I deceptively edited the video. So I'm going to play you right now the full video. I only cut like 4 seconds out of the video because I said the same thing like 3 times in a row. And when we post our videos, we do edit them sometimes for the sake of clarity. We never change the context, but we make them more shareable so that you're not sitting through the lulls in the video. You're not sitting through, the parts that drag. We want to make them shareable and, more watchable for you. I mean, a lot of times we're putting out multi-minute long videos, so we do cut them down. I mean, make no bones about that, but we never change the context. And just to make sure that everybody understands that we didn't change the context, I want to play you the entire video. This is what happened in full right now.
Johnny, did you really vote to raise interest rates on poor people out of spite yesterday? To spite Mike Sparks? To spite Mike Sparks? Is that why you did that? You voted to raise interest rates on poor people out of spite yesterday. I watched you do it. Are you gonna hit me? You gonna hit me? You gonna hit me?
Don't you come from
You gonna hit me? Because that's on camera, Johnny. That's what you did yesterday. I saw you do it. Seems to be a pattern here, Johnny. There's a pattern here. I think anybody that follows us is sensing the pattern here, Johnny. There's a pattern here.
You better get out of my face.
There's a pattern here, Johnny.
That's what you better do, because you're going to get floored, buddy.
Oh, yeah? That's a threat. You know that's a threat.
It is a threat.
Oh, thank you.
Take it as a threat.
I got it as one. Thank you.
Okay. That's the full video. There's not a single edit in that whole thing that I just showed you. So that's the full video. So as you can see, it doesn't change the context at all. Johnny Shaw still threatened me. Now, granted, I'm well aware that, I can get under people's skin. I'm aware of that, but doesn't mean you can go around threatening to hit people. And I thought long and hard about it. I'm obviously not filing a police report or anything like that, but I did file an ethics complaint against Johnny. Johnny's on the ethics committee. And especially if his assistant or his intern is going to be telling people that call up upset about this, that I deceptively edited it, and not to have any remorse about it, but instead to say that there's more context that they're not aware of. Well, now I'm going to keep talking about it. And now I'm going to tell you that, you know what? He's right. There is context to this. And now I'm going to give you the context. Okay. Because this was not an isolated incident. The context here, the immediate context was that Republicans had a bill to raise interest rates on poor people. The bill is so bad that Mike Sparks, who is a Republican, stood up and called it the worst bill he'd ever seen in his 15 years. And then right after Mike Sparks said that, he went off on his own caucus, said this is a terrible bill. He's sad that his caucus will vote for it. It's evil. It's terrible, raising interest rates on poor people. To his credit, Mike Sparks was absolutely right about that. And right after he said all that, Johnny Shaw stood up and said, because Mike Sparks had said that, he's going to vote for the bill. So I'm going to show you that now.
It's a bad bill, folks. This is a terrible bill. In fact, this is the ugliest bill I've ever seen since I've been up here in 15 years. But who wants to pay more in interest? Nobody. I doubt if any constituent has called any member up here and said, raise interest rates on predatory lending. People are hurting in Tennessee. It just saddens me that my caucus would even entertain this as fiscal conservatives. And I get some cold stares from some people, but that's okay. Because 70,000 people sent me up here to represent their best interest, not high interest, not predatory interest. All that is necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. If my colleague...
Wow, right? I mean, that's a Republican talking about a Republican bill. He went off. To his credit, Mike Sparks. I mean, that is not something you see every day. And look at the quote right there. The ugliest bill I've ever seen since I've been up here for 15 years. Mike Sparks is a Smyrna Republican talking about Dennis Powers' bill, also a Republican. And what does Johnny Shaw do right after that? Does he commend Mike Sparks for standing up to his caucus? Does he thank him for speaking up for the people of Tennessee and poor folks who are already struggling to get by? No. He gets up and he says, because you were so hard on Republicans, on Dennis Powers and Republicans that are going to support this bill, he's going to vote for it.
Behind me hadn't made his insulting comments, I would have voted against this bill. But since he did, I'm going to vote for it.
And you know what he did? He voted for it. He sure did. He wasn't the only one. Hammer and Mitchell did too. But he stood up and he voted for it. 16 Republicans didn't vote for that bill. I think 7 voted against it and about 8 blue lighted it. And the issue here is not just this bill. Okay. That is the immediate precedent to Johnny threatening me and him wheeling on me when I asked him about it in the room that day. So that was like right before, right? And so he was obviously raw. He knew he had done wrong. So he threatened me. And, but the other thing I need you to understand is this wasn't an isolated incident. Okay. Johnny Shaw has been voting like this for a while now. All right. He also told the Justins to quiet down not long ago. And this was in West Tennessee.
A lot of folks in my district were very upset that those 2 counties returned those guys after what they did of commandeering the entire legislature and taking over and really putting a lot of people in harm's way and trying to make sure that their voices were heard above 7 million other people.
This comes after the House voted on a bill to prevent local governments to reappoint lawmakers who were previously expelled due to behavior. Representative Todd said he voted in favor of the bill. Representative Shaw said he opposed the bill. However, he gave his thoughts on the actions of the 2 previously expelled lawmakers.
Let me tell you, the legislature is teamwork. It's all about, and when you can't play with the rest of the team, you don't need to be in the legislature. And let me just say, because that's my caucus, these 2 guys need to quieten down.
These 2 guys need to quiet down. That's what he said about Pearson and Jones, that they need to quiet down. Okay. So that's another thing that I had asked him about that he didn't like when I asked him about that. And, I think if you're a Democrat out there, I don't know a lot of Democrats that want Pearson and Jones to quiet down. I mean, he's talking about probably the 2 most popular Democrats of the whole state, but he needs them to quiet down as he's sitting next to Todd and whoever else out in West Tennessee. All right. But it's not just that. It's not just that either. Okay. Last week, he voted for a bill that protects giant pesticide corporations from sick farmers. Not protects sick farmers from giant pesticide corporations. It protects pesticide corporations from sick farmers. And here it was in subcommittee. He was basically blaming sick farmers for, I guess, using the product wrong or something.
I received over 50 correspondence from folks in the state. Every single one of those messages was against this bill. These are farmers, they're people who live in the community. I have not got one email supporting this bill. We've had some corporate lobbyists up here trying to portray this as this bill is about protecting farmers and this bill is for farmers. What would you respond to them saying that?
No, it's not for the farmer. These bills are being pushed through by these foreign-owned chemical companies.
I never had that problem unless I use it too strong. And if I use it too strong, yeah, it'll burn up something, but as long as the mixture. So I just wondered if whoever sprayed it were using it properly.
So just to be clear, this is a bill about protecting Monsanto and Bayer from sick farmers. They've been hit with like multi-million-dollar lawsuits. People have gotten cancer, and it's been adjudicated and these companies lost. And now they're pushing a bill to make it so these sick farmers can't sue for damages. It's not about like burning your hands on a mixture. And so either he doesn't know that in which case he's not really doing his job, or he knows that and he's voting to protect corporations. And it's not just that either. There was a multi-billion-dollar corporate tax giveaway last year, and Republicans passed it. And there was only one Democrat that voted for that multi-billion-dollar corporate tax giveaway, and it was Johnny Shaw. So yeah, there is context. Johnny Shaw's assistant who said that to David on the phone. There is context. You're right. The context is Johnny has been voting like this for a while. And the one good thing that I hope will come out of him threatening me and them continuing to lie about this is I hope you people out there will really understand what he's been doing. That it is not just him threatening to punch me this week. It's not about that. I'm a big boy. I'm not that worried about that. I filed an ethics complaint because I felt like if I didn't and somebody else threatened me in the future, I can't do anything then either because I didn't do it when Johnny did it. Right. So I had to do something or else I'm normalizing threatening people, which, I've been pretty aggressively questioning people for 7 years now, and nobody has ever threatened to punch me until this week. I didn't have it on my bingo card that it was going to be a Democrat. I got to be honest. But here it was. And again, I was not even really going to say anything, but if he's going to have his assistant telling people that call up that I deceptively edited this video, well, I'm not having that. That's not cool. I didn't deceptively edit anything. So I'm not going to let you speak that on my name. And what you did was wrong. You've been voting how you've been voting. And if you don't like how you're voting, maybe you shouldn't be voting like that. Like that would be my, anybody should feel that you can defend your vote, right? If you can't defend your vote, that's a you issue. It's not the people that are asking you about it. And I'm sorry if it's like shocking to get asked about your vote. I wish it was more common around here for people to get asked about their votes. Like, and that's a whole other issue about, media presence and resources, but people should be willing to defend their votes. People should be willing to defend their votes. And when you shouldn't be threatening people for being asked about them, especially when you stood up on the House floor. You made a point to stand up, Johnny, and announce that you would be voting to raise the rates on poor people out of spite. You did that. I didn't make you do that. You did that. And then you didn't want to be asked about that. You thought, I'm just going to say this and nobody's going to care. Like, what? So I don't know what to say to you, dude, other than, and here's more context, by the way. Johnny and I actually go way back. I ran for Congress in 2018. Johnny endorsed me. Bolivar's in my district. I drove out to Bolivar probably half a dozen times to talk to people. And Johnny was very supportive of me. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to criticize him when you're voting that way. And I'm sure he regrets endorsing me now. That's fine too. He's entitled to his opinion. But I'm not here to, coddle Democrats. That's not what I'm here to do. If you're going to vote against poor people, to raise rates on poor people, then I'm going to call attention to that. The Holler is going to call attention to that. That's what we're here for. So this isn't about, getting him arrested. I'm not filing a police report or anything like that, although I've seen some comments saying threatening people is assault. I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in that. And honestly, it's not about fear. Like, I kind of wish he would have, honestly. Like, he's an old guy. I'm not trying to bully an old guy. But if you're going to be here trying to vote to hurt people, I'm going to call you out. And that's what this is about. That's what I hope this calls attention to. I just showed you the full video. I will post the full video on our social media feeds on its own. so that you see that there was no deceptive editing here. That's not what this was. I made one edit because I said there's a pattern here, Johnny, probably 4 times in a row. You didn't need to hear me say it 4 times in a row. So I made one like 4-second cut. But I'm not going to let you use that as an excuse to say that I somehow manipulated the situation. The video is the video. I filed an ethics complaint. I turned in the full video with it. You're on the ethics committee, which I'm going to go ahead and hope that you recuse yourself from this one. But, you know, a sitting House rep who is on the ethics committee should not be acting like that. And I know that you're retiring. I know that you only have whatever 18 months left of this until you ride off into the sunset. But I think it's important that people understand what you've been up to and how you've been voting. And, you know, that way, whatever comes next, you know, I've seen people vote like this in the past and then go get cushy jobs in the administration. John DeBerry comes to mind. He's now making something like $16,000 a month or around that. I don't know. In Governor Lee's administration, helping him push his voucher scam. So, you know, that's what this is giving to me. This is giving DeBerry vibes to me. And, you know, if Shaw goes and gets some kind of job somewhere off of this, like, I want people to at least understand what he did to earn it. And I think it's important that his community knows that. I think it's important that the voters know that. And if you're going to be out there saying I deceptively edited this, then I'm going to set the record straight. And that's what I'm hoping to do right here, right now. So I'm just looking at your comments. Why are Dems still voting for Shaw? I don't even know if he had a primary, so maybe they had no choice. The last thing Dems need is coddling, kicking the pants well warranted, Mary says. Let's see what else we got here. Thank you for the disclose on the show. Ask backwards, follow the money. I mean, yeah, look, it brings me no pleasure to say this stuff. You know, I didn't set out to, you know, get into a fight with Johnny Shaw. I really didn't. But, you know, he had to be asked about these votes. You know, it's like when you see it, it sticks out, and it's been going on a while. And if it takes this incident for people to be made aware of it, then that's what it takes. Just a couple other things, just to shout out the people that showed up at the Capitol this week. You know, I hope that more will come, because again, there will be another hearing this week, committee meeting, and I think they might be up to some shenanigans with the scheduling of it. It's supposed to be Tuesday and then Wednesday, and the bill is slated for Wednesday, but I think they might try to sneak it in on Tuesday. So just be aware of that. Another funny thing was Kustoff in West Tennessee announced, or somebody announced, posted, come to David Kustoff's speaking and answering questions at our coffee club, open to all. Please join us at like a church coffee club. So we shared that. And then wouldn't you know it, the next day after we share that, they say, oh, not that, sorry. The next day after we share that, they say, actually, Kustoff's Germantown talk never meant to be public. Organizers say it's members only. So, I mean, to be honest, I was a little surprised to see Kustoff was having this event. Tennessee Republicans don't do town halls, really. Harshbarger did one, which I was surprised by, but it was a surprise to see that Kustoff was going to do it. So, of course, now nobody's invited. All right, that's all I got. Thanks for listening. You know, just wanted to set the record straight, and hopefully we did that. Baller the Holler.